Okay, let's start. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bante buri panya tathagata Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang paripurnang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Nacha Gita Vadita Visuka Dasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanathana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapala Jnanasa Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta Sa. Sorry. Slightly. Okay. All right. Now tonight we'll start off with a guided on Upeka, equanimity, one of the four Brahma Viharas, the last one. Now, doing this equanimity, then the mind learn to be stable, not excited, not go into thoughts, but stabilize in the middle with understanding and wisdom. All right, let us start. Now we sit here. We sit here, we let go of all the vipassana objects. Just keep the mind present here. Keep the mind free, calm and peaceful. Let the body relax. Relax on top of the head. Any tension, fatigue, tiredness, we let it all go. From top of the head, then the forehead, the face. Relax the neck and shoulders, arms, chest, stomach area. Relax the spine, relax the back. Relax the buttocks, hips, thighs. Relax the knees and calves. Relax the soles, ankles, toes. So relax the body. Keep the mind calm and, and alert. I am the owner of my own karma. I am the owner of my own karma. Whatever actions, speech or thoughts, then all these actions, all these intentional actions, speech or thoughts, give rise to resultant. Happy resultant or unpleasant resultant. I am the owner of my own karma. I am the bearer of my own karma. Karma is my closest relative. When I die, I don't take anything away. accept all my accumulated karma. I'm subjected to birth, aging, sickness, and death. I'm subjected to birth, aging, sickness, and death. I learn to accept this without fear, without anxiety, but with understanding and wisdom. I am the owner of my own karma. I'm subjected to all my intentional actions, speech, or thoughts, and they will give rise to happy or unhappy resultant. I'm the bearer of my own karma. I'm the owner of my own karma. Birth, aging, sickness, and death. May I be able to learn to accept them without fear, without anxiety or depression, but with understanding and wisdom. Now let us expand. Let us expand our equanimity. Let us expand our equanimity to all the monks and nuns, fellow yogis here, to all the Dharma helpers, Dharma workers, volunteers, to all the donors, sponsors, to all the guardian devas of this center, to all other devas residing in this neighborhood, to all the petas, and to all the animals, big, small, seen or unseen. They are all subjected to their own karma. They are the bearers of their own karma. They are the owners of their own karma. Whatever intentional action, speech, or thoughts, wholesome or unwholesome, then they will bear with the resultant happy or unhappy resultant. All of them here, all of us here are subjected to our karma. We are the owners of our own karma. We are the bearers of our own karma. And all of us subjected to aging, to birth, aging, sickness and death. May all of them able to accept this. May all able to accept the truth without anxiety, without fear, but with understanding and wisdom. So all of us here are subjected to our own karma. All of us here are subjected to aging, to birth, aging, sickness, and death. Now let us expand. Let us expand the equanimity, reaching out to all the beings in this country, humans or non-humans, devas or petas, animals big, small, far or near, seen or unseen. All beings in this country are subjected to their karma. All intentional actions, speech or thoughts will bear the fruit of happiness or suffering. All beings are subjected to aging, to birth, aging, sickness and death. And all of them able to accept the truth. May all of them able to accept the truth of life without falling into fear or sadness or anxiety, and able to accept it with wisdom and understanding. All beings in this country are owners of their own karma. All beings in this country subjected to the birth, aging, sickness and death. Now let us expand. Let us expand our equanimity to all the beings in this world, humans or non-humans. May they be our loved ones near or far away. May they be those people whom we do not know, or to those whom we dislike or those who dislike us. To all the guardian devas of the Buddha Sasana, to all other devas residing in this world, and to all the petas, to all the animals, big, small, far or near, seen or unseen. All beings in this world are owners of their own karma. All beings in this world are owners of their own karma. Whatever wholesome actions, speech, or thoughts will give rise to happiness. Whatever unwholesome action, speech, or thoughts will give rise to suffering. All beings are the owners of their own karma. All beings in this world are subjected to birth, aging, sickness, and death. May they all able to accept the truth without anger, without fear, without sadness, but with understanding and wisdom. May all beings able to live in peace, with understanding and wisdom, and not in fear, not in anxiety. All beings in this world are subjected to their karma, subjected to aging, to birth, aging, sickness, and death. Now let us expand, reach out the equanimity to all beings without exception. Reaching out to all beings without exception. Whether they are in this universe or universes, beings from highest plane of existence down to the lowest planes, and all the beings in all the world systems. All beings without exception. They are the owners of their own karma. Karma is their closest relative. Whatever wholesome deeds they have done will give rise to happiness, and unwholesome deeds will give rise to suffering. All beings are subjected to aging, to birth, aging, sickness, or death. Are subjected to this truth. All beings are owners of their own karma. All beings are the owners of their own karma. You slowly let go. Let go of the reflection. Bring the mind back again to the body to feel the rise and fall of the abdomen. Feel the sensation. Feel the here and now. And then we can slowly open our eyes. All right. So yesterday we talked about the conditions where concentration will be helpful in the sense of development of samatha meditation. If it's properly able to develop, then you can able to switch it over to vipassana. Then it will be excellent, but it's not that easy. So as I mentioned that you must have the time to practice. Then you must have the right teacher to guide you. You must be able to progress, the third thing. Then when you progress, whether it's jhana or not jhana, as long as you progress something, then the fourth one, to switch it over to vipassana. So it's not as easy as you think it is. Yeah? It is not simple. It looks simple, it sounds simple, but it is not. Yeah? For most people, is that even they can progress, but the switching is not easy. Yeah? Switching, you've got to make a lot of effort because this is changing a stream of the mind, how you pay attention to an object. Yeah? Yeah. Now, tonight we'll look into another area where one has to be skillful in picking up objects. Yeah? In the samatha, also usually they have a title called skillful in the signs. Skillful in the signs, S-I-G-N, sign. They use the word sign as nimitta here because in the samatha there are various types of objects. There are so many types of object. That object can be in breath, out breath, can be metta, can be upekkha, can be this, can be that, can be what else? So many different things. And then not only that, then if you take up an object, some object comes with mind-created object, some doesn't come with mind-created object. Nimitta, usually use the word nimitta for that. But nimitta has a wider understanding, not just only mind-created object. So that area is a big area that we can talk about if you are a samatha yogi. But since we are not a samatha yogi, then we leave those things aside. We leave those things aside because what is more important is that you must be skillful in picking up the vipassana objects. If you're not skillful in picking up vipassana object, then you're going to have a hard time do this vipassana development. There are various types of objects in vipassana. And not only various objects, but the various characteristic of the object. And not only different objects have different characteristic, but a single object also got its different characteristic. Yeah. So therefore there are various types of object, and therefore the mind has to be skillful. You don't have to know all of them. You don't have to know all of them. And because if you want to be skillful in all of them and sekali you want to start like that, then it's impossible for you to start off with vipassana. Yeah? Skillful in an object means that in the beginning of a practice, a yogi must be skillful in a number of objects. More simple objects, and not too complicated objects. Because for a beginner, this is something you need object for the mindfulness to arise, and the mindfulness to arise, for the concentration to arise, for everything to arise. If you do not know how to take up these objects or to hold these objects, then you cannot do this meditation, this vipassana. Huh? Now, in the beginning, yeah, you must learn to take up some what is called the primary object. Then you also learn to know what is the secondary object also. Here, the primary object that what we are doing here is the rising and falling of the abdomen. Okay, the rising and falling of the abdomen. Then we have the secondary objects. Secondary objects like sitting and touching, like the pain, like the thinking, like the itchiness, like the heat, like the cold, various other all other objects, we fall it under secondary objects. Now, a yogi must be skillful in both area. Primary, that you must be skillful, and also you must be skillful in the secondary objects too. This is for the sitting. For the walking, also the same thing. There's a primary object, then there's a secondary object. So what are the primary objects of the walking? The primary object of the walking is at the feet area or sometimes the sole area. These are the areas, usually what I call it, below the ankle, everything over there. We call it the primary object. Anything above the ankle, secondary object. So the secondary object, there may be, hold on now. The secondary object may be like movement of your hips, movement of your thighs, movement of your shoulders, and so on. These are the secondary objects. And again here, you must be skillful in that area. Many times I met with yogis, even for myself, when I was beginning meditating. We are skillful in the primary object, but not so skillful in the secondary object. Especially in the walking. A lot of times you are skillful in the lifting, pushing, dropping, right step, left step. Then after that, if right step, left step, lifting, pushing, dropping not clear, what are we going to do? Just walk and let the mind run. That's what I do, because we are not so skillful in the other objects of the meditation. So if in the beginning itself, you are not familiar with this type of objects, then there's always will be staggered practice. That means the primary object is clear to you. Then when things are not clear, then what are you going to do? Wait for the primary object to come in. Then one part of your time disappear. You cannot do anything. Then you wait for, oh yes, rising, falling, come back again. Then only you start noting again. And with that can be a problem. Then the whole mindfulness is not continuous. So therefore, a yogi has to be, in the beginning part, a yogi has to be skillful in both of this area. And also, we are not even touching on the daily activities. This is, again, is an area that a yogi must be skillful also. Now, skillfulness means that you must learn how to take up the object, and also what are the conditions that to set up the mind so that the object is clear to you. If you do not know how to make the mind clear, then the object will always be blurry, nothing much. Now, all these things are called skills. These are all the multiple skills that you need to have in order for the objects to become clear. And also, therefore, when the objects is clear, then also the mindfulness is continuous. This both area we need to develop them. Yeah? So again and again in other Dhamma talks, in the past Dhamma talks, in the beginning part of the Dhamma talk, I taught again and again that a yogi must learn how to able to note the objects clearly. Like for example, in the walking meditation, that first phase, second phase, third phase, or whatever phase that you want to do, as long as your mind is alert, as your mind is able to follow the objects clearly. And some yogis sometimes they don't really listen to the instruction. They straight away, like for example, in the walking meditation, straight away they go very slow already. And the whole walking, they go super slow. There's no such thing as relaxing the body. So because of that, many yogis get problems with development of the walking meditation. Cannot develop. Objects are not clear. Over time, you do like that. When the walking meditation cannot develop, you will give up on the walking meditation. You will give up in the sense that just walk lah, just walk. And then after that, immediately they want to go and sit. Because to them, sitting is more important than the walking. So because of that, then the sitting doesn't improve. Vipassana doesn't improve. Why? Because the condition for the mindfulness to arise, the strong condition is not well developed. So not well developed, then they come to the sitting. Sitting is not clear. After some time, after a week, after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, progress is not going any more further. So when the progress doesn't get any more further, then after that, your confidence, your faith, your saddha towards the meditation is slowly depleting. When it's depleted, then after that, you give up on the meditation. Then you give up on meditation and you seek for something much more easier than this. So it's not easy. It is not easy, but one has to make an effort. So here, a yogi must learn to notice the objects. Notice the object, that means you notice its characteristic. Hard, soft, warm, lifting, pushing, dropping, the movements, how it goes higher, drop, and how it goes faster, a little bit, slower, a little bit, whatever sensation is going on there. So these are the primary objects that you have to be skillful. Then after that, you have to be skillful in the secondary objects. Then the secondary object you have to be skillful in. You must learn to take up. Sometimes the primary object may not be that clear. So take up a secondary object like your hips are moving, shoulders are moving, or your hands are warm, or some thighs are moving, or your knees are moving. There's so many moving parts during walking meditation. So these are again another area that can be very helpful for the mindfulness to arise and also the concentration to come in and to become concentrated, the noting mind. So these are the things that in the past I've mentioned in so many ways to us to make sure that the yogis know what to do with these type of objects. The more the objects you know how to take it up, the better you can do in this meditation. Like in the sitting meditation, also the same thing. Many of the yogis that I've known, not here, but in the past, they are just only rising, falling yogis only. As I said, they are not vipassana yogis. They are good in rising and falling, but they are not so good in other objects. So when they are not good in other objects, they only take up the rising and falling. And then because of that, because of rising and falling as you all know, is not going to be clear all the time. It's going to be like, it's going to fluctuate. Sometimes it's going to be there, sometimes it's very faint, sometimes it's quite clear, and sometimes it's faint again. In the beginning part in your retreat, if you are a beginner, then a lot of time is going to be very faint, not clear. So you must learn to take up other objects. But what is good is that you must learn that while we are doing over here, in this type of vipassana practice, dry vipassana practice without the samatha, sukha vipassaka, dry vipassana practitioner. So in a dry vipassana practitioner or dry insight worker, they call it. Then this type of practice, we need a lot of your walking meditation and your sitting meditation. Your walking meditation and your daily activities to do those things right in order for the sitting to become clear. Yeah. So a lot of connections. There's no such thing as they just come in without all these connections. The connection is so strong. So therefore, when you do this sitting meditation, again and again, as a beginner, you drive the mind, you direct the mind to the rising and falling of the abdomen. To direct it there, then again, you use the labeling. Now, when object is moving, follow it as best as you can, observe it as best as you can, see whether it's long, short, and so on. Now, here, when you take up the object, you begin to see the characteristic of the object. The characteristic of the object. And when you see this characteristic of the object, then good. Because the more that you see it, the more you're familiar with the object, the characteristic of the object. There will come to a time that after some time you practice, like some of you, like in the beginning part, sit down, rising, falling, also not so clear. But after some time, some retreats and some progress later, the moment that you sit down, rising, falling is already there, very clearly for you to see. But it may not last long. The problem is this nature of this rising, falling, they may not last long. Then the time when things are not clear to you, a yogi must learn to take up secondary objects. Now, in the secondary objects, the sitting and touching is very important for us. It's so important for us that, as I said, the sitting and touching, you can able to learn up. And then in the beginning part, when you learn to do this sitting and touching, it's like learning how to take up the object from this object to the next object, to the next object, to the next object. Then you notice these sitting and touching objects. Well and good. But then later part, when as you develop further, skillfulness in picking up this object, we applied it into when we are drowsy, or applied it when we are in a lot of agitation of the mind. So we applied the objects, the way of how to note an object to overcome certain hindrances of our mind. And it's very helpful. And many of all these things, I have already spoken about it in the past. How we note it a bit faster, how we note it a bit slower. And they can become very helpful. They can become very helpful to keep the mind alert. So again here, these are skills of taking up the meditation objects. Many times, what I imparted in the past talks, since in the beginning, from this one, from beginning of the Vasa, we talk about different ways of how to note objects. So many different ways. We cannot even cram it in one talk. But what I'm saying that all these things that you learn it up again and again, you tried it, it become part of your understanding and part of your growth. Because in the future, you're going to need these skills again and again. Every retreat that you're going to come, you need to overcome them. For example, if the sleepiness come in, you think this retreat only are sleepy. You think in the future retreat no sleepiness anymore. Yeah. So in other words, you have to use the skills to overcome them. The agitation of the mind, again, you have to learn to know how to use them. So many ways. So all these things are that the more you train, the more you become aware of the nature of the thinking mind, the aware of agitation mind, restless mind, sometimes memories, sometimes planning, and so on. You begin to become familiar with them. And then the more that you are familiar with these objects, then the more mindfulness become continuous. Then that time it doesn't fall into unmindfulness, doesn't fall too much into the thinking or planning, or too much into the emotional states and so on. So these are important. These are really important. Perhaps, I know in the past when I went to different retreats and so on. All more or less, people teach. A lot of teachers, not all teachers, but number of teachers only teach how to note rising, falling, and here. Then after that, all the Dhamma talk is on theory. Everything theory sometimes may not be so relevant to the yogi, although it's still Dhamma, but sometimes may not be so relevant to the yogis. So again, here sometimes when I go to went to these type of places, well, it doesn't gain much. But we respect them for whatever they're teaching. But for myself, I don't gain much. So with this type of not getting it now, so I tried here and there. Try. Yeah. Therefore, here some of the skills are that you must learn to take it up. Yeah. Especially how to notice all the characteristic of the object in the beginning. You must learn how to notice the pain. Again, sometimes noting or explaining how to note the pain. I think for this retreat, I talk about it just on the pain alone. Talk about whole talk, 1.5 talk. I continue tomorrow again. Just on pain only. Because before even you note the pain, a lot of us have a wrong conception of what pain is, what you should do with the pain. Again, here, so many finer things that we can able to look into it. So you got to learn to take up all these type of objects. So this is one area for beginner. And it's already a wide area to cover. It's a wide area to cover. It's just only for beginners, this area. Because as you go into deeper aspect of vipassana, the skills of picking up an object is quite different from the beginning part. Because it may come to a time that your rising and falling is not rising and falling anymore. But it's still there, but not rising and falling anymore. Because you begin to notice the different characteristic of a rising and falling. And this type of characteristic of rising and falling, it comes in a lot of changes that is happening. Its characteristic and how they change is very different. Objects may may not be all the time going up and down or going forward and backward. Objects may be start to change and change and change. Like it's going sideways, it's going round and round, and going into haphazard manner. You are not sure whether you are noting rising and falling or not, but somehow or another, it's still something moving there. Yeah. Again, these are characteristic, but it's different from the beginning already this time. Yeah. And sometimes this rising and falling as if like, or you thought now the rising and falling, then you come into the heart area, rise and fall, rise and fall. Sometimes you come to the face area, come to the head area. How come the rising and falling? I thought the stomach go to the head. Again, here, the changes of things are happening in so many different ways. And these are characteristics that a yogi must be skillful in taking up also. If the yogis are not skillful, then doubt will come in. How come rising, falling and go to the head one? Cannot be. Rising, falling in the stomach area, how can it go to the head? Then you close your eyes again, hey, yeah, still in the head area. Then after that, all your doubt and everything comes in and say, then you're not sure, am I noting it right or am I noting it wrong? In other words, you're still not skillful in taking up those objects. You're still doubting of the objects because you're not familiar with the objects. In other words, when you're not familiar with it, your mindfulness gets disturbed. Your progress gets disturbed just because you're not familiar with this type of object is happening. Sometimes you notice objects that keep on turning and turning and turning. Then you open up the eyes, you try to look. No, object rising and falling is still there. But the moment you close your eyes, it's turning and turning and turning again. Then so who is right? You are right, or the object is right. The problem is that we love our thinking a lot. We love our comfort zone. When we love our comfort zone, new characteristics are coming in connected to the rising and falling, but you're not comfortable of taking it up. That means you're not skillful in that sense. Yeah. There's always a reluctancy of taking up objects. Yeah. So, in other words, you must learn, as I said many times, you must learn to trust your noting mind. You must learn to trust your mindfulness rather than trust your thinking. Because your thinking, and sometimes we apply our book knowledge into it, a lot of our experiences will become very narrow or not that. The real experience will be narrowed or covered up by our so-called book knowledge, theory, and so on. So you must learn to let it go and learn to pay attention to all your objects. The more that you're familiar with it, the more that you are familiar with this type of object, then anytime that or anytime it comes up during the sitting, it's perfectly all right. You feel comfortable with it and you are able to notice what is going on. And many times in the sitting or walking, there may be new ways of how object is going to be presented to you that you have not seen before. Sometimes that you walk, how come the leg can shake one? Start moving a little bit, vibrating a little bit. You're not familiar with it. Again, sometimes some yogis, they stop the whole thing from moving this one. No, if just a little bit of movement, vibration there, then it's okay. It's perfectly all right. But some yogis are not comfortable with this type of things. So because why? Again, not skillful. Not skillful in taking up the objects. So again and again, as a yogi keep on trying, notice all these things, then if it happens again and again, Your mindfulness, just stay with it. Your noting mind stays with it. Very quickly, the whole mind gets concentrated. Yeah. So too, like sometimes as you go into a number of more and more retreats, more and more progress, sometimes you know before the sitting and just before the sitting or immediately during the sitting, there's a change in the concentration. Before the sitting, you are just slowly going down and everything. The moment you sit down, everything ready, boom, everything come in already. You can see the noting mind is all concentrated and begin to notice all the objects already. You can feel sometimes the concentration is coming in, gets concentrated, gets mindful, gets cleared. Everything becomes real. I mean, everything can become balanced and sharp and penetrative. And all the object starts running here and there and changing and so on without coming in all the thoughts and thinking. Yeah? So, in other words, you are skillful in the objects. So, mindfulness, concentration becomes continuous. Yeah? Objects changes, in many ways. Sometimes, even like you doing your sitting and touching or doing rising, falling or doing walking, then suddenly you walk. You feel that as if like you're not noting from this body, but as if like you're noting from outside. How come you can see yourself? As if like you're sitting here, but the noting mind as if it's on the outside, looking inside. Then it says, there's something wrong. I think I chow for yak more already, something wrong. But again here, you're not familiar with it. Again here, sometimes this thing happen. Then when this type of way of noting happen, we sense that we as if like our spirit is coming out, our soul is coming out, whatever nonsense is coming out, that out of mind and body experiences, that what you read so much nowadays. Uh, This is no, this is just the nature of the mind only. And all these things is just pay attention to them, and don't try to think about them. Just if it comes in next time like that, it's just another aspect of anatta only lah. It's just another aspect of anatta. It's trying to show you something, but because you're not familiar with it, then you're already covered. That means the truth is being covered there just because of that. Our thinking so much. So that means, in other words, you're not skillful in picking up the objects. That means when it's not skillful, the mind gets shaken. Shaken, that means mindfulness gets dropped. Yeah? So there's a lot of things that's happening. Sometimes when you do something, when you're sitting or when you do your daily activities, and suddenly you feel that you're not the one who is doing it. There's feel like there is no I that is involved into it, as if like everything is just like mechanical like that. No sense of an I is there. Everything is just mind condition. The hands go on its own. You just know how to do it on its own, but the sense of an I just broken off for a period of time, for a period of time. But because of that, you feel very uncomfortable because all our life we live with this I, and the moment the I disappear, very difficult to live with it. Sometimes y'all can talk lah, non-self lah, no I lah, no this one, whatever you can talk. But when it actually happened to you, you get shocked. You get shocked. How come it happened like that? What is wrong with my practice? There's no solidness in my practice because there's no control there at all. But if you just learn to trust your meditation, then become familiar with it, yes, it becomes, things are just carry on and things are quite clear. Yeah? So this is one thing. Now another thing is taking up of meditation objects also is also removing of certain misperception, wrong perception, uh, wrong sanya, miccha sanya, wrong sanya. Wrong sanya comes in that, again, here we don't think of it as wrong because we've been living from it life after life. Every moment we live with it. Form, like the sanya of form and shape, distance and far near, color, no, far near, big, small, up or down, time, people, all these are all called, falls under concept. We know that, sometimes we read Abhidhamma, we know that, oh, this one is, you have ultimate truth, uh, and conceptual truth. Ultimate truth. But the thing is that when it actually happens in your vipassana time, again, it's going to shock you. It's easier for you to have a theory about all these type of things, but when it actually happens to the yogi, it's really a shocking thing. Because sometimes when you're meditating, everything is going quite clearly. But somehow or another, you forget where you are. You do not know where you are meditating anymore. Because sometimes you go from one retreat to another retreat, and here, there, this place, and that place. Then after you have to think, hey, where am I suddenly? Or you do not know the time. You somehow or another, you meditate. Is it morning or is it afternoon? Is it night? You're not sure anymore. Then you open up my eyes. Oh, yes, still in the afternoon. Safe. Because you are familiar with those type of things. Because you are familiar with this type of thing, we fall back to the time. We fall back to the concept. But the moment that it breaks the vipassana slowly breaks the concept, it feels shocking. It feels like you are having dementia or having Alzheimer or whatever. But it's the nature that the vipassana, when it's happening, this concept slowly begin to fall away. It slowly begin to fall away. Or sometimes yogis, sometimes they meditate. They know that they are facing the wall. That's it. Somehow or another, they meditate. They thought that their whole body sank until they face like backward or at the side. Again, here is a change of concept. The concept is slowly changing. Changing in the sense that it's going to break away from all the things that you're familiar with. And it can get quite scary. Yeah? It can get quite scary, these type of things. Because the more the concentration comes in, the more mindfulness comes in, all these things is starting to break away. Then that time, also it comes to a time that sometimes your form, bodily form, your bodily form, you do not know whether when things is happening, you do not know where is it happening. Last time, in the beginning part, the pain come in. Where is the pain? The pain at the left buttock, directly at that particular point. You know exactly. Chun chun. But now, when all the concept disappeared, the pain is still there, the changes is still there, but you do not know exactly where it is. It's there, but you do not know where. Again, here, this is all dropping of concept. But say it's easy, but when it happens to you, you get shocked. You thought that the sense of this and that, You do not know what is happening right now. How come the whole meditation is going into haywire? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Well, you have an interview, fine. People can, the teachers can guide you. If you, let's say you were meditating alone and this type of things happen, who are you going to look for? Yeah. Then it gets shocking. You thought that something is happening to you, or the vipassana is making you mad, or the making you crazy, and or the vipassana is making you lost with the sense of the world, Yeah. As if like we cannot function anymore. All type of things is happening because also it depends on how strong you're attached to with all these stuff things in the world. Uh, So a lot of things are even the form. For example, when you meditate, and sometimes in the beginning, the head is here, shoulder is here, chest is here, stomach is here, back spine, all the kind of like a form is there. But after some time, when you meditate deeper into it, all this type of form disappeared. Nothing there. It's just processes only, bodily processes that's happening here and there, or the mental process also, all everything here and there. So again here, you must learn to take up all this type of object that's happening in front of you. Yeah. And you got to learn to trust, as I said. You cannot, at that moment of time when it's happened, you cannot stop suddenly halfway, you get up, knock on my door, Bante, what happened? Knock your head, go back and meditate. There are once in a blue moon, yogis get really shocked about this type of thing. But actually, you don't have to go in this thing. At that time, if this type of things happen to you in whatever way, shocking way, just pay attention to it directly as they are, not as what you think it should be. Uh, there will be times also, not only just this type of things happen. Then there'll be times also objects that's going to come in many times at one go, many objects at one go. No? For example, like your pain. No? And in the beginning part, there's one taiko only, one big pain only. You cannot run away from it. The taiko is there. You better stay with it. You cannot run to all the other objects. But next time, and sometimes not next time. In other times, as you develop further, sometimes you notice that there are 3 or 4 pain come together, and they may come in slightly different intensity. Sometimes stronger intensity. Sometimes maybe there's numb pain here. There's a pressure pain there. There's a pulling pain there. All sekali datang, and they come in different intensity. And yet, your mind can able to notice them at one go. And again here, when it happens in this way, again here, when it presented to you in this way, you must learn to take up in that particular way. Don't go in again, fall back into your study that the mind can only take one object at one time. All those things you put aside. Let it show you whatever that's being presented to you over there. Trust your mindfulness rather than trust your theory. Then here, when it happens in this way, it changes. Sometimes one becomes more prominent, the other 2 or 3 become less prominent but at the background. Then after that, again, the other one becomes prominent. Then the other 2 or 3 goes into the background. Then sometimes some yogis be thinking, if this object keep on changing here and there, how can I notice them more detailedly? Then how to progress like that? Then again here, the nature of being detailed in noticing is not necessary in a single object only. It is also in the change of object. That is the nature of the object is appearing to you. So when it's appearing to you in that way, Then you learn to take it in that way, because that time the mind is in this optimum level. The balancing of the mind is at optimum level. Object is in optimum level of clarity. It shows you in that way. You pay attention to them in that way. You don't have to think about in your past that I got only one object, I must look into it much more detailed. No. Change of characteristic right now. Characteristic is changing and you're noticing different characteristic of things already. Yeah. It's trying to show you something. So a lot of things, these things are happening. Sometimes you notice the bodily objects, you notice rising and falling here, you notice a bit of sensation there, a bit of pulling there, a bit of another sensation here and there, heat here and there, all like in one group like that. Sometimes also you notice the mind too, also the same thing. Here, thoughts arises, then here you notice that there's a bit of anger there, then a bit of thoughts there, another thoughts coming in. You notice a group of thoughts coming in. When it happens in this way, when you notice that there's a different pain that's coming in, different objects are coming, different bodily objects coming in, you're noticing what we called the fourth foundation of mindfulness, Dhammanupassana. And inside the Dhammanupassana, there is five aggregates. Under the five aggregates. And in the five aggregate, what does it mean by aggregates? Aggregates mean group, one group. A group of bodily objects. A group of feelings object. So right now, it's being presented in this way. So you are noticing a different group of things that are arising. That means if a multiple of pain that's coming in at one group, then pay attention to it. You won't go mad. It's just another phenomena of a different area of satipatthana only. It's just that a lot of times, of course, we don't go and talk about it so much. It's just that if in theory, next time, if you happen to notice it in this way, then at least you don't feel you're out of the water. You're still within the four foundation of mindfulness. Exactly there. So pay attention to all these type of things. You pay attention to this type of things. Now, there will be times these type of objects even go, the characteristics even go even deeper. And deeper in the come to a sense that it is like arising and passing away moment after moment, moment after moment. And this time and this moment after moment, you see streams of everything, that anything object that's presented to you is just arising and passing away only. You cannot differentiate between which one is rising and falling, or which one is rise, or which one is fall, or which one is heat, or which one is cold. Everything is just arising and passing away only. Just now you see, you got 3 or 4 type of pain that coming in. You can notice, this pain is this, that pain is that, that pain is this. But this time, there's number of pain, but all this pain is just arising and passing away. And all the arising and passing away looks the same. Then this pain and that pain, you still feel painful, but you don't feel the difference in the pain. They're all just suffering only. No, they're just suffering only, arising and passing away. They come and go, come and go, come and go. They even come here to the mind also. When you notice the state of mind also, it's all arising and passing away only. Moment after moment after moment. You don't know even which thought coming in, but you know that the mind is passing through. Not only itself that you can notice the thoughts, you can notice the noting mind itself. Noting the noting mind. Boleh? It sees the mind that notes itself. That means it sees the arising and passing away of all the consciousness or the mind and everything. And then that time, you don't even can differentiate which one is mind and which one is body. In the beginning, oh, then we say, oh, you must know which one is mind and which one is body. Yeah, this is mind, this is body. Yes, yes, that is in the beginning level, you know, when you begin with your insights and so on. But in the deeper insights, no. In the deeper insights, even you think about body is already concept. You think about which mind that you are looking at, concept also. That means, other words, it's just process of arising and passing away. Everything, and you, as I said, you don't even realize that which one is mind and which one is body. Once in a while, you still may able to feel, perhaps, you know, sometimes certain sensation are stronger. You feel the sensation and also you feel the arising and passing away also. Yes, sometimes yes. But sometimes you don't even feel which one is rising and passing away. And which one is mind or body. Everything is just arising and passing away only. So you get shocked. To some people, how come in the beginning part I can know all these type of things, but in the later part, all these type of things is all not there, all the differentiation not there anymore? Because again, as I said, skillfulness in taking up the object is very important. Learn to be aware of this type of different characteristics that's going to come into your meditation. Not just this rise and fall only. This is not samatha. Samatha, you take up one object, then well and good, then it goes into a different level. Whereas vipassana, there's different objects. Within the different objects, within there's, I mean, sorry, again, different object, and each and different object, they have their own individual characteristic. Hard or soft or rise or move. Then after that, within a single object, let's say within a heat, then inside there, there's a changes, then there's a rising and passing away. Another different types of object that's going to be there. So when you everything you combine together, oh, it's very complicated. So other words, next time, no matter how the object is presented to you, pay attention to them as clear as you can. Note them and note them and note them. Yeah. Do the walking, do the sitting as best as you can. Then the progress as it comes in, different ways the object is presenting to you at that moment. You take it up. The more that you learn to take it up, the more you're familiar with it. Next time when it happens to you in this retreat or in future retreats, then the mind is so much more settled. In other words, the progress can go on very fast until enlightenment take place. Even enlightenment take place, it's got their own way also. Then you get used to it also. Now, for the meantime, you make sure you get used to all these type of things first. It will naturally come in. Okay, so we'll stop here for tonight. Continue the talk on Thursday. Tomorrow, no talk. Okay, we share merits. Idang me bhavanang nibbanasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of Nibbana. Imang no punya bagang sabba satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu. Sadhu.